Welcome to the second episode of Be Candid with Socks. It was so good to be back in this chair again. My name is Sokana, and if you are joining me for the first time, welcome and welcome. Firstly, I want to thank all those people who have subscribed to my channel. Thank you so much for the likes, the comments and the shares, because I know some of those subscribers came from referrals. So I just want to say that I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. I mean, some people even called me just to congratulate me and also give me some points on where I can improve, which I really do appreciate a lot. I mean, I've only been doing this for 3 weeks, and already I'm getting so much love and warmth from you guys. Thank you so much. Now, I'm not even going to waste any time. We're just going to get right on it because I know some people are so eager to know what the next topic is about. So let's get right on it. This week's topic is you over 30, you haven't reached your career aspirations, and you're unmarried. So what now? Now, for some people, it would be a question of, so what if you're not married or haven't reached your career aspirations by 30? So what? But for a lot of men and women who do have these aspirations and goals, it can leave a feeling of darkness in one's existence. Now, a lot of us grew up with having dreams and goals of being at a certain stage by a certain age in our lives. For instance, I'll make an example with myself. I had dreams and goals of being at a certain place or a certain stage in my life in my 20s. And I wasn't able to achieve that, or couldn't be able to achieve that. And I'm going to use the word couldn't because I had control on some of these things. But due to my poor decisions then, I ended up falling pregnant and wasn't able to finish school. Now, my mother is a very strict woman. She told me straight away that I have to quit school and go work for my child, which I did. I quit school, went to work for my child. After a few years, after attaining some funds or being able to raise enough funds to start to go back to school, I enrolled in another university because I had plans of studying, finishing my qualification, and then looking for a job in an organization which I wanted to work for. So I went back to school. And at this time, I was already in my mid-20s. So because of these delays that I had, I ended up getting a job in the organizations that I want in my 30s. Now, by this time, there were already people who worked for these organizations for a long time, so they had better experience. So these were my competition, the people who had experience, and also another competition was people, kids who came straight from varsity who had fresh minds and had fresh ideas. Remember, at this time, I was already in my 30s and I was already, working and studying at the same time. So my brain was a bit tired and drained at that time. So I ended up finding a job only at a later stage. Now, this can leave a feeling of frustration because you now in your 30s, in your 30s, or even probably in your late 30s, because if you're like me, you're probably in your late 30s by then, and you're still not where you want to be in your career. It can really leave a feeling of frustrations because I think when you reach a certain age, you want to be able to have attained certain things in life. Feel like you already want to have attained properties or driving a nice car, have assets all over for business. So when you're in your 30s and especially your late 30s and you haven't attained these things, it can leave a feeling of frustration. Now, on top of this, you have other personal goals that you have set for yourself at a certain age of being married and starting a family. So now when these things don't happen, you start feeling frustrated and not motivated. And then the minute you don't feel motivated, you start feeling less value of yourself. Now, I want us to get to a point or a place where this does not affect us emotionally and mentally. So let's have a chat about this. truth is that people don't really care about these people who are in good careers and also have good relationships with people outside their families. Now, I'm going to sound a bit cliche, but the truth of the matter is that you should always work on yourself. You have to work on yourself. I mean, I've been working on myself for years and I am still working on myself. It never stops. So people should never stop working on themselves. And you know why? Because you are never the same version. People change, people evolve. People are never the same. They always change all the time. I mean, you're not the same person you were 10 years ago or even 5 years ago. Heck, you're not even the same person as you were last year because last year you had different interests and you developed different interests or even lost certain interests. So you are never the same version as you were. That's why you need to keep on working on yourself all the time. And another reason why you should always work on yourself is that you don't get easily triggered by things and you are able to manage your emotions. So you get to a stage in life where you are able to accept where you are, but still work towards of getting where you want to be. So even if you haven't reached your goals, you carry yourself with the energy of knowing who you are. Now, how does this link to this topic? Remember when I started earlier saying that when you are not motivated, you start having these feelings of feeling less value of yourself. So this is where it comes in. You don't have to feel this way when you know that you have the energy of knowing who you are because you possess power. So you don't have to have these feelings of feeling inadequate. Now, this all starts in the mind. You need to change your mindset and create a reality that you desire. When you put your thoughts into positive things, you receive positive things. And your thoughts must be centered around things that groom you and make you a better version. Like it can be things like watching motivational podcasts. I do a lot of that. And I'm not gonna lie, it helped me a lot. Because when I started when I started watching a lot of motivational podcasts, obviously my mind is gonna be centered around positive things because I'm constantly feeding my brain and my mind with positive things, which then change my mindset. If you are someone who likes to read inspirational books, or you can even surround yourself with positive people that can really play a good impact in your lives. I'll make an example. I'm just going to tell you a story about myself with surrounding yourself with positive people. When I was younger, I had a low self-esteem, believe it or not. And I mean, a lot of people don't believe this, but as confident as I am now, it was not always like this. There was a point in my life where I had a low self-esteem. When I was younger, I have a younger sister and she's light-skinned. So when we were younger, we grew up together because we're just 1 year apart. So we grew up together and we were always compared to each other because she's light-skinned and I am dark-skinned. So there was always that comparison that she's prettier than me. And because of that, I grew up with a low self-esteem. I grew up with being one of those kids who didn't want to look themselves in the mirror because I didn't see anything pretty about myself. So I didn't see any reason why I should look myself in the mirror. And I carried like this for a very long time up until I met my friends in varsity who played a very huge role in changing the way I think. So my mindset was totally shifted from the negative mindset that it came in when I arrived in varsity, and it gave me self-confidence because I now surrounded myself with people who actually motivate me to become a better person or a better version of myself and see myself as a beautiful woman. So it encouraged me now and gave me self-confidence, which I still carry up until this day. There is absolutely nothing more beautiful than a person with confidence and courage. And we are all captivated by those types of individuals. So change your mindset so that you can create the reality that you desire and you deserve. And another way to do this is to change your behavior. You need to you need to action what you say. You can't just say things and not action them. You need to be practical about them so that you can become a better version of yourself. And when you become a better version of yourself, you are able to operate with what is aligned with your purpose. And then God directs you to that purpose. And then suddenly it doesn't feel like weight over your shoulders that you haven't reached your career aspirations. So when God gives you the blessing of giving you what you pray for or what you want, and then you are able to come with a filled cup because you already are whole. You are full, you are whole, you are carrying yourself with the energy that you should be possessing. I'm just gonna sit like this for this one. Just be comfortable for this one. So women start to panic when they reach their 30s and they're not married because firstly, their physical features start to change. I mean, lately I've been noticing wrinkles right under my eye, right here. I saw one sometime, yeah, right under my ankle, my eye. And I'm not panicking because it's not on both eyes, but it's something that I'm taking notice of that I'm starting to have wrinkles under my eyes. And also your energy starts to change. You're not as fresh as you were before. I mean, if Sinote Jalo Black Daughter right now, you would not be able to do that fly kick that you used to do. And that's the reality because your energy, you don't have the same energy levels. Amatabakas, it's not the same. The bones are just not operating the same way. I mean, this is why we prefer going to sit in parties, sit in brising actually, if sitting brides than going to parties or clubs nowadays because at sitting brides you can give me a blanket or a fleece and just say sit there my darling, I'll bring you meat, and then when I feel like sleeping at 10 p.m. or 11 p.m. while the music is playing I can just do that. So that's one of the reasons why we start to panic because we understand our bodies are changing. Now, we were raised in environments where we were taught to be mothers, how to be mothers and wives. And we were taught these things by our parents and also mothers and fathers within our society. We were taught as young girls, how a girl should behave, preparing us to be wives one day. For instance, you'd get comments like, you can't sleep until late, like when you're sleeping in the morning and it's like past 10, and then you'd get comments of, you can't sleep up until late. What type of a wife will you be, or what type of a mother will you be? Ulala njani mina umntwana wentombazane, waba ngumfazi onjani? Our mothers used to have those type of comments. I know in black societies, those type of comments were quite often. I don't know about white neighborhoods, but in black communities, those type of comments were normal for us. So we were taught this way. This narrative is only changing now that we are teaching our kids independence rather than becoming wives. Not that we don't want them to be, but we focusing more on teaching them how to be independent. Whereas with us, we were taught more on how to become mothers and wives. Now, for the rest of us, we now left to unlearn all of this because we have been groomed to become wives by this age. But now you've reached this age, you have to now try to unlearn all of this, which is not easy. I'm not saying, I know we just spoke about changing your mindset. I'm not saying you can't change this, but I'm just saying that it's not something that is easy to unlearn because most of our lives we were taught how to become mothers and become wives. And so now we are in ages where we feel it should have happened already because we do have that marriage mindset within us. So we feel like it should have happened already and it hasn't. So it can now leave a feeling of discouragement because we believe that marriage is something that is very pleasing in God's eyes. And even the Bible does encourage it because marriage, I mean, most of us desire marriage because it is a ministry and it is something that is pleasing in front of God's eyes. I mean, in the Bible, it does say that husbands love your wives as the church, as Christ has loved the church. Spiritual maturity is measured by how close we are to God, because the highest calling of them all is with our relationship with God. So the first calling is our fellowship with God, and we can't be productive with anything else in life if we're not productive with God first. This means that you can't be productive in marriage if you're not productive with your relationship with God first. So this is why we should always first build us and our spiritual relationships. In one of the podcasts that I watched, I'm just not sure which one was it, but it spoke about doing preparations before dating, not preparations while you are dating. So we need to prepare for marriage, not while we are dating, but actually before. This means that preparing yourself and actually working on yourself before you start dating than when you are dating. It also speaks about the questions on changing Christian minds on thinking that they are less when they are alone, or should we say we are less when we are single than when we are married. It also encourages us to read the book of Romans. I think I wrote it here, the book of Romans 12, chapter 12, from verse 2, and it says, "Let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think." So you need to let God change the way you think and also direct your mind in what He desires for you. Then we'll be able to see God's promise. I thought it was very motivating and very encouraging, especially for us single people who are left with those questions that when is it happening? Because I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I'm already on the other side while I'm still praying to be on the other side. So it's very important then to be able to read your Bible, because it does encourage us to read the Bible, read the Word of God, because when you build your relationship with God, then you are able to understand which path is it directing you to, and you will not feel less of yourself just because you are single. Okay, so let's recap before closing this topic off. So we firstly spoke about working on yourself to be able to create a reality that you desire. So you need to work on yourself to be able to create that reality. And then we also spoke about changing your mindset. To be able to change your mindset, you are able to think positively about yourself, and then not only be able to change your mindset but also change your behavior so that your actions may be followed by what you say. And then lastly, we spoke about working on your relationship with God. So build your relationship with God so that God may be able to direct you to your purpose and be able to give you what He had promised in His books or in His word. That's all from me this week. It has been such a great pleasure to be with you again. Thank you so much for watching my channel again. Please do not forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Also, do catch me on other social media platforms, which is Instagram, and I'll just put on my links below because I just forget when I have to say them. Someone said, another comment that I got is that can I just put my links below before I end the video. So I am going to put the links below so that you can see which other media platforms you can find. That's all for me, folks. Bye and see you next week.